Graham Stephan is the undisputed king of the YouTube finance niche. From a realtor to now a full-time YouTuber, Graham Stephan bags home millions of dollars from YouTube every year since he rose to fame. He is known by many for his cheap taste in coffee, financial savviness, and his ability to sell virtually anything.
Sell me this pen.
Our mission today is to find out how Graham Stephan makes his money. Does he make his money by sitting in front of the camera and reading out newspaper headlines while sipping cheap coffee, or does he actually put in the work to merit what he has? To understand how Graham got to where he is today, let's take a deep dive into his past. But first,
if you appreciate videos like this and you find them helpful, all I ask in return is basically just the price of one like. That's all I ask in return. It does dramatically help out the YouTube algorithm. It helps with the channel. And in return, my channel ends up getting pushed to a larger audience. So that's all I ask. So anyway, let's get into the video.
Born in Santa Monica, west of downtown Los Angeles, Graham grew up in a tiny two-bedroom house of about 1,100 square feet. He watched his parents live paycheck to paycheck, and by the time he was 16, both of his parents filed for bankruptcy. Before then, growing up, Graham knew nothing about the entrepreneurial world he will soon come to dominate. He wanted to become a marine biologist. His insane obsession with soda fish, reef tanks, and aquariums got him his first reef tank. Obsessed with photography, he obsessively took pictures of his reef tank and uploaded them to a website called reefcentral.com. ReefCentral.com was a safe haven for fish, aquariums, and reef tank enthusiasts. Two major things happened to Graham when he joined ReefCentral.com at 12 that changed his mindset for good and altered the trajectory of his life permanently. He met his first mentor, Chris. Chris was the owner of the coolest website that sold, imported, and exported exotic fish and coral. He became young Graham's first mentor by accident. It all started when Graham reached out to Chris with the hopes of taking pictures of Chris' amazing reef tanks and marine life to post on ReefCentral.com. His passion, enthusiasm, drive, and knowledge about marine life and reef tanks blow Chris's mind away. Chris accepted to meet with him. The next day, his mom drove him to Chris. There and then, our wannabe marine biologist was offered his first job, taking pictures in exchange for free coral, which he quickly accepted after driving a hard bargain with his mother to work on Tuesdays and Thursdays after school. At 14, 15, his photography had improved greatly, and Chris offered to pay him $1 per picture. As the inventory at the warehouse grew bigger, as did the business, Graham was allowed to handle customer service, work the emails, and pick up phone calls. Under Chris' mentorship, Graham learned his first valuable lesson in marketing, which he will use years later to make millions off the real estate market. Chris taught young Graham that the key to sales and marketing was customer service and customer care, with one rule of thumb: always deliver more than the customer expects. The business was sold and Graham lost his job. At 16, young Graham, the wannabe marine biologist, wanted to become the most famous music the world was yet to see. So he joined a music band as a drummer for a bit and was struck by the realities of the music industry to quit. Now a high school senior, he wanted to study investment banking after high school, but his poor grades wouldn't allow him. He was an obedient student with a series of C's and D's who dedicated his after-school hours to his part-time jobs instead of schoolwork. He applied to Pepperdine but was denied. His grades sucked. It was obvious that college was not for him. Determined to stay in the investment niche, he landed a data entry job, $13 per hour at an investment firm specialized in precious metals, which he quit after 6 weeks. Now at 18, while his friends were off to college, Graham took a strange liking to real estate. He will show up at open houses with the goal of having a one-on-one chat with the agent in charge. Each time he got the opportunity to talk to an agent, he will ask about the industry, what was new, and if the agent liked what he was doing, then he will ask for advice and recommendations for an 18-year-old wanting to be a real estate agent. At that age, many of the agents did not take him seriously. Most of them discouraged him and told him to go meet his mates in college, get a college degree before thinking about real estate. Others kept giving him mediocre advice: work hard and work really hard. Rejections became his reality every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. for 3 months until he met Van. Van will later become his mentor and teach him almost everything he knows today about real estate. The amount of rejections he received was enough to make any 18-year-old turn his back on real estate for good, but Graham, being relentless, kept pushing until he met Van, the only real estate agent who took him seriously. He saw the passion, enthusiasm, drive, and zeal coursing through young Graham's blood and took a chance on him. To Graham's surprise, contrary to what he had been told, Van told him that being a real estate agent at 18 was the right job at the right age at the right time. Graham was 18 with a lot of free time, no responsibility, no overhead costs, and living with his parents. Van told him that if he started now, by the time his friends were graduating college, he will be 22 with 4 years of experience and no debt and student loans. He will be far ahead of them even with their degrees. Like clockwork, 3 years after Graham had 3 houses paid cash to his name, Van invited him to come to his office if he was interested in becoming an agent. The next morning he went, and just like that, he was offered a position as a buyer's agent on a 50-50th commission split and a mentorship. Van at that time was among the top 1% of agents in Los Angeles and one of the best at Coldwell Bankers. Graham officially started out as a real estate agent in 2008, age 18, with $5,000 to his name, money he got from working part-time jobs. The crippling amount of debts his parents had and the amount of stress they went through every day taught Graham at an early age to be careful with money. This mindset helped him in the real estate business to save up and buy his first properties. Graham used the $5,000 he set out with to get his real estate license, pay the realtor fee, and other online materials. Graham knew from the beginning that there were no shortcuts to the top, so he took the long-term approach and looked where nobody else was looking. At the time, Craigslist was the holy grail for finding clients, and there none of the agents were interested in lease listings. They were all gunning for the big sharks, million-dollar home sales, leaving the leasing market unattended. Graham went all in, even though the leasing deals did not bring in much, about $500 at the lower end and up to $2,500 at the higher end. After 9 months of lease listing, he had over $30,000 in savings. By the 10th month, just few months shy of his 19th birthday, Graham sold his first house for $3,550,000 and bagged a $90,000 check in commission before broker's fees. As it turned out, the clients he was closing leasing deals for became his potential home buyers years later, and Graham was their go-to each time any of them wanted to buy a house. He was not only closing deals, he was building bridges through customer service and customer care, which eventually led to the selling of his second house for about $1,500,000. Like what every 19-year-old will do, Graham used the money from his first commission to buy his dream car, a 2006 chrome orange Lotus Elise. Unlike most 19-year-olds, this savvy entrepreneur needed this car to up his game. He was young and needed to command respect, and the car was meant to be proof that he knew what he was doing. Before buying his dream car, Graham used to drive an old, worn-out 1996 Ford Explorer. For the next 2 years, Graham will make $100,000 plus every year and dumped every single dollar into his saving account. He was hoarding money to the extent that he derived enjoyment from saving and not spending. In his own words, he lived like a hermit on $5 Subway sandwiches, barely going out and working 10 to 14 hours a day. Just when things were beginning to look good for Graham, reality struck him very hard, with what seemed like an existential crisis. He realized his days were all the same. He had no friends and no one to hang out with. His social life was hanging on a balance. Outside real estate, he knew nothing. Worst of all, he was caught up in a dilemma. On his right were his colleagues, 35 to 50 years, with whom he had nothing in common apart from business. On his left were his friends whom he had outgrown. He did not understand why his friends would want to play ping pong, talk about girls, and drink beer the whole day. Meanwhile, there were more important things they could be doing. Now 21 in 2011, housing prices were plummeting, and his long-time fear of one day going broke and living paycheck to paycheck caught up with him. He knew something was lacking in his life. His guts kept telling him that he needed a safety net to fall back on in case the most dreaded period in the life of an agent happened to him. Going for months without closing a deal and having nothing to lean on. The stock market crash of 2007 to 2008 saw many homeowners lose their homes, most of them now looking for homes to rent. Graham saw this gap and took to the market. He looked for properties that were between $60,000 to $120,000 that will rent for $1,100 to $1,600 a month. With excess money at his disposal, he bought and paid for his properties in cash. He wasn't just buying any $60,000 house, he had a method to it. He will buy any house newer than 1978 with more than 3 bedrooms, more than 2 bathrooms, and more than 1,200 square feet on a lot size of over 20,000 square feet. His first 3 homes were bought in short sales, and his very first property cost him $59,500, a house that sold for $250,000 before the crash. He spent an additional $12,000 on cosmetic remodeling and got a tenant to pay $1,200 a month. His first tenant was an ass. He grew weed in his garage, which cost him a year's profit and a loan denial. Now on his second and third properties, he was broke. Buying short sales means paying in cash. He had maxed everything out. In order to keep up with the increasing overhead, he turned to the bank for a loan. She was denied because of his bad tenant and because he had no credit score. Desperately, he turned to his grandmother for a loan of about $2,000 to pay off his contractors. In 2013, Graham had got some skin in the game and business was booming. His old leasing clients were potential home buyers and he was their high-ticket closer. His sales volume skyrocketed and so did his commissions. He diversified his investments after learning about Roth IRA, 401k, and S&P 500 index funds. He was snowballing and building his investment portfolio. In 2016, age 26, he had surpassed the $1 million mark in real estate and was now a millionaire, averaging $500,000 a year. By 2017, around the time he started out on YouTube, he had a little over $120 million in sales and over $2.5 million in commission, with 5 properties to his name after 9 years of serious hard work. He was living the American dream long before he started out on YouTube. Graham put off joining YouTube for about 3 years by the time he joined. His timing was once again perfect, and little did he know that his life was about to change for the better. He loaded his first video on YouTube in January of 2017 to his main channel, Graham Stephan. Titled Easiest Tips to be a Successful Real Estate Agent, he brought over his years of experience in dealing real estate to YouTube. Graham came on YouTube at a time when the real estate niche was gaining a lot of attention. Many people were getting into the real estate market for different reasons. Some wanted to be homeowners and others real estate agents. Graham was the only one on the internet with real experience of what they wanted. He had been there, lived the life, and done both. Once again, leveraging on what his old buddy Chris had taught him to always deliver more than the client expects, here was Graham dishing out the knowledge he paid for both in time and in cash for free in a matter of minutes in the most palatable way. He quickly developed a following on YouTube, and the year ended with him making a total of $26,966.69. A year later, in 2018, his first channel had surpassed the 100,000 subscriber mark. His content started making waves on YouTube when he posted his first video on what would later be a credit card series. That year ended with him netting $170,945.60 in YouTube AdSense alone and grossing a total of $253,318 from 6 income streams. In 2019, he started his second YouTube channel, The Graham Stephan Show. After tasting the sweet dollars YouTube was offering for 1/4 of the work he was putting in as a real estate agent. It was in 2019 that Graham saw for the first time what he stood to gain on YouTube. To squeeze out as many dollars as he could from YouTube, he hired his now assistant Jack to help with the second channel. He was uploading 6 videos a week across channels. The year ended with him grossing a total of $1,904,273.73 from 7 income streams, averaging $168,000 a month. In 2020, his investment portfolio had grown to $6 million. Together with Jack, he started his third channel, The Iced Coffee Hour, a podcast where he interviews successful entrepreneurs to share their success journey. 2020 ended with him grossing over $4 million. By 2021, now 31, his investment portfolio had grown to a little over $21 million. A good chunk of his investment money is held up in real estate, stocks, angel investing, crypto, and cash. As of 2021, Graham has a total of 8 properties to his name, 5 YouTube channels with over 5 million subscribers across channels. He is yet to make a video detailing how much he made in 2021 and 2022. So what is my take, and what did I find out digging through 31 years of Graham Stephan's life? Well, first off, Graham does drink cheap iced coffee, and I am a big fan of iced coffee. Secondly, he doesn't sit in front of the camera just to read newspaper headlines. He sits there to dissect, analyze, and give meaningful explanations to the seemingly frightening newspaper headlines. His main purpose is to educate people about money and, if possible, teach every single soul on earth how to make, manage, and multiply money. By nature, Graham Stephan is a minimalist, wearing the same t-shirts and drinking the same iced coffee every day. He has the genetic makeup of an investor. He lives simple, not cheap. Graham is a true product of his childhood. The semblance is visible in his content across his multiple channels. He is charitable in his own way and loves to take chances on others, as Chris, Van, and others did with him. He gives occasional shout-outs to hard-working content creators to encourage them. He replies to as many comments on his channels as possible. He has a Discord handle where he continues to mentor and educate people for free in addition to what he is already doing on YouTube. I learned the following from Graham Stephan's tenacious, relentless, and never-give-up attitude. 1. Live frugally but healthily. 2. Save as much as you can. 3. Good customer service and customer care system will make you millions in no time. 4. Always deliver more than you promised. 5. Start doing and you will find a mentor in the process. 6. Have more than one source of income and make sure to diversify. 7. There is never a right age to start doing anything. Start whenever you feel you are ready. 8. Keep the right company. 9. Leave life at your pace. 10. Work hard, work smart, and never quit. If you are a fan of Graham Stephan like myself, forward this video to him and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any content creator on YouTube you want me to put under the Think Big grill, leave in the comments. If you want to buy me coffee, my PayPal is in the description. Click on this video and be motivated to think big.